Your Majesty.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to my humble sex dungeon. What can I do for such a...
No, thank you.
lovely specimen?
Yeesh, I must be getting old. I used to like cartoons.
That's been living in my head for years now. In the past 5 or so years, the cartoons that have been coming out just haven't kept my interest or even hooked me at all. Let me think of some of the most popular ones. Owl House, couldn't get past season 1. Amphibia, never finished the last season. I actually liked that one though. Arcane, never watched the first episode. Castlevania, never watched the first episode. Invincible, never watched the first episode. Has Been Hotel, music is good, but not the writing. It's strange. These were all things that people recommended to me with such high praise. I was told they're the best cartoons of the current era. I don't know, are cartoons in a slump? Am I missing something? Am I getting old? Do cartoons just not interest me anymore? No, that's ridiculous. I keep finding myself going back to cartoons I liked as a kid and as a teenager. Even that first clip is from Steven Universe. I've been talking about that show for over 10 years. I found myself going back and rewatching all of Code Lyoko a year ago and all of the original Ben 10 before that. But I want to keep up. I want to know what's going on in the world of TV animation right now. But it's just Arcane, Castlevania, Invincible. Those shows keep circling back like a carousel, and they just don't click. I don't know what it is, but I don't want to watch them. I don't know, I feel bad. Everyone keeps recommending them. What if I don't like them? What if my expectations are set too high and I end up disappointed? I go to the library pretty often. A lot of the time I'll check out DVDs of movies I want to watch, and other times I'll check out books. On some occasions, I check out books I've heard of. Maybe someone mentions that they like an author, and I'll check them out. In the past year, I've only read one book that someone recommended to me, plus the rest of the series. That book was Scythe, which was really good, but the last book had an awful ending. The other books I've read this past year were just from me browsing the shelves. I'm almost quite literally picking books at random. Something catches my eye, I read the back, and I decide to check it out. At that point, I give it 100 pages to keep my interest. If it's not worth my time, I take it back. Simple as that. But I found a slew of books that I've really enjoyed this way. More so than from people recommending them to me. I'm more apt to pick a book that I've never heard of because if I'm going in with zero expectations, how can I be disappointed? If I don't like the book, I'll take it back after 100 pages. But I start to consider if this applies to other media, and sure enough, it does. I play a lot of games. I spend more time playing games than I do watching TV and movies and reading. I realize I approach new games the exact same way I approach new books. I'll browse Steam for ages, and almost every time I decide to buy something, it's something random. Rain World looks good. It has cool art. I'll buy that. Yomi Hustle is like chess 2. I'll get that one. I saw a trailer for Peak, and I knew I wanted to play that before it was out. Nobody recommended these to me. I don't spend time reading reviews because, let's be honest, Steam reviews are kind of a joke. These were just games that I found, and I bought them, and I wasn't disappointed because I had no expectations going in. And if I didn't like something, I can return it before I hit 2 hours. Alright, how about I approach cartoons the same way? What are my options? Arcane, Castlevania, Invincible. We're back to square one. Western cartoons are certainly in a slump. Maybe not in terms of quality, I have no idea, but for sure in terms of volume. What has good volume, though? Anime. I think the fact that I talk about cartoons on the internet, well, one cartoon, people have this misconception that I like anime and I watch anime. Truth is, I haven't watched an anime since My Hero Academia. Didn't finish that one either, I couldn't stand the pacing. So I'm not versed in this space at all. It's totally alien to me. I don't know what to look for in an anime or what makes one good. I just know I don't want to watch whatever's most popular. I don't want to watch something that someone's recommended to me, so let's sort by new. How about this? Secrets of the Silent Witch. I like magic. At this point, it was like I just bought a winning lottery ticket and I had no idea yet. I didn't even look at the score on Crunchyroll. This show has a 4.9 out of 5. Also sub, this dub sucks. Seriously, listen to this old guy in the original.
ついには栄唱なしで魔術を使えるようになっちゃったのよ。沈黙の魔女って言うんだけどね。
And listen to how they absolutely murdered him in the dub.
She is known as the Silent Witch. As a matter of fact, the Silent Witch and her magical formulas will be on the test.
Secrets of the Silent Witch is about Monica Everett, the Silent Witch herself. Monica is one of the 7 sages, the most skilled, most acclaimed, strongest mages in the kingdom, capable of casting spells powerful enough to kill dragons by the 100. She's 16 and she's doing all this. I'm sure a lot of you are probably having the same reaction as I had during the first episode. I've heard of these anime. I don't know if there's a term for it, I'm sure there is. You know what I'm talking about, where the main character is this all-powerful sword fighter or mage, or some guy who starts the show as a level 500 badass among all these level 2 and 3 peons. And the whole premise of the anime is showing off how cool and badass and powerful the main character is without leaving any room for character development, because all of their development happened before episode 1 started. None of these initial thoughts were helped by the default fantasy setting. You know, medieval Western Europe with fancy architecture, castles, horseback riding, nobles wearing white gloves, with your typical uninspired magic with Merlin-type wizards that have already been done to death. You all know it. You've probably seen it before. And I have this pit in my stomach warning me that this was just another one of those, and I had picked a dud. I don't think I would have minded a show like that. If the magic was well written and cool to look at, and the animation was really good, I think I would have kept going for at least a few episodes. But at a certain point, I would have gotten bored. If a show is purely action with no substance, my brain just shuts down and I want to do something else. I'm really glad I didn't have any preconceptions, because what I expected from the title and the first couple scenes of the show was completely obliterated after episode 2. This isn't a high fantasy adventure, magic battling action show. This is a slice of life, a high school show with a high fantasy magical backdrop. This seems so familiar. The main character is a girl with magic powers who is totally socially awkward, but is secretly a famous superpowered badass, where the whole plot revolves around her trying to get close to a pretty boy upper crust classmate? Nah, I'm crazy. There's nothing else like that. The show tells you that Monica's big flaw is that she's shy. That's why she's silent. She couldn't chant spells in front of other people, so she created a way to cast spells silently. I will say that shy is not the right term. Monica is a spaz, and every moment she's interacting with other people, it's adorable and hilarious, and I already love this character. Yeah, I thought it would get pretty old pretty fast, but it doesn't, because she isn't a one-dimensional character who's a spurg by day and a badass by night. No, she's more than that. Not to mention, they only make her freak out maybe twice each episode. With Monica being a famous mage, but also a total recluse, her true identity is a total enigma, making her the perfect person to go undercover and simultaneously spy on and bodyguard the prince, who goes to a prestigious boarding school. So we've got girl with 20 in intelligence and 1 in charisma, who has to cozy up to the prince, who's also the president of the student council. What could possibly go wrong? The main hook to this show is Monica's position to secretly protect the prince, Felix, whose head has a height to width ratio of 1.618. Yeah, I don't fucking know either. Someone's after him, plotting to assassinate him for his political connections. Even before Monica gets to the school, there was already an attempt on his life, and another right after that. This is where the magic side of the show is put on display. The magic in the show is awesome. I'm a sucker for a well-planned out magic system. All spells have to be cast by chanting incantations, which are carefully researched and planned by the mages who cast them. This is an anime, so there is a quantifiable level of mana that each person has, but it's not in your face. I think the show explicitly talks about it, like, twice total. It follows my favorite trope in magic systems, where magic is like a muscle. If you overdo it, you'll wear yourself out. It happens to Monica, and she passes out from low blood sugar. What I like about that medieval Europe setting is that the show doesn't just use it as the default fantasy template. It actually leans into it. There's actually a purpose to the time period and style. The whole point of the main setting is that it's an upper-class boarding school for nobles. A lot of the episodes put a spotlight on Monica needing to follow the etiquette of a noblewoman despite being a filthy peasant girl. This show has an episode about Monica attending a fucking tea party for the first time. Does that sound interesting? To someone like me, absolutely not. Does the show manage to make it interesting? Yeah, I don't know how it did that. That's crazy. I'm not here to gush, though. I think this show is good, really good compared to what I expected, but there's some bad and some ugly here that I want to talk about. Sometimes it feels like the show is avoiding showing the cool stuff. I couldn't tell you if it's because of the animation budget or if it just wasn't part of the original light novel, but sometimes I get the impression that they just want to avoid any sort of interesting magic stuff or fun downtime moments and just get straight back into the character drama. Here's an example. Monica has to pick electives, and one that she picks is a chess class, which leads to her getting to participate in a chess tournament against another school. I fucking love chess. I think chess is like the coolest board game ever. They spend a whole episode talking about this chess tournament. Monica gets gassed up. She's excited. This is something she's good at other than magic. So imagine my unmeasurable disappointment when we get to the next episode and her match is over right at the start. We don't get to see a single game of chess actually get played throughout the whole show. Oh, but there it is. There's the notation. Just here it is. Here's the game. Part of me has to blame the budget. This show's animation budget isn't gigantic. You can kind of just tell. This old guy's Monty Python hand, these weird 3D horses, so many shots of characters being kind of stiff and not really doing anything while a character in the reverse shot talks, so the animators don't have to do lip sync. The style is cool though. This show is a lot of talking, and they do a fantastic job of saving that animation budget for the scenes that really need it. The magic scenes are a spectacle. Even the most nothing shots of magic look great. All the spells feel like magic. There are some of the typical writing tropes with a world that has a lot of magic. Spells being classified as dark magic, those being illegal. Magic is only hard to come by because it requires a lot of study and training, otherwise spells are so powerful that pretty much everyone should be using them. It's not something that everyone can just pick up and learn. There aren't any characters that just happen to know a levitation spell or something. While I sometimes see that as a missed opportunity, like why can't everyone know a tiny bit of magic, I can see how it's a slippery slope. It gets you questioning, if they can do X spell, why can't they do Y spell, or even Z spell? It makes sense that it's gate-kept by the whole studying really hard thing. Again, I'm not well versed enough in anime to know the actual words to describe the genre, but this show combines a lot of elements from action fantasy shows and slice of life comedy. Each episode makes sure to give a good amount of screen time to both the character drama side and the magic side. There are at least one or two scenes that don't have any magic, however, but it doesn't bother me because each episode's pacing is fine. I can tell you for sure that if you're looking for something purely action-focused with great animation and choreography, you're in the wrong place. If you're looking for goofy, cute anime girl hijinks and a main character who's genuinely likable and compelling, this is definitely the show for you. And you get the bonus of a higher stakes fantasy adventure looming over everything. I noticed something when I was watching this about myself. I like anime, first of all. That was actually a bigger revelation than you'd probably expect. But mostly, this was the perfect anime to watch to get back into the medium. It's uniquely symbolic to my own decision to watch the show at all. Monica's story is all about being dropped in the deep end, being thrust into these social situations she otherwise wouldn't find herself in, and later realizing all of the good things that are in there. What I did was jump into an entirely random anime with absolutely no expectations, and I ended up finding the show, which I really like. I think the decision to pick something that I'd never heard of, I've never read the reviews about, I didn't even read the description, ended up being the best decision for picking a show. When someone recommends a piece of media to me, be it a friend or a comment on one of my videos, or even an algorithm pushing a show or movie to me on a streaming site, it immediately gives me this preconception of whatever it is. I'm supposed to like this. Someone recommended it to me, so I'm supposed to like it. It's supposed to be good. Then I second guess myself. What if it's not? What if it's bad? Or what if it's good, but it's just not for me? What if I just don't like it and can't explain why? I've had this problem with media before. I'm supposed to like it. I get stuck in this state of paralysis where I just don't want to watch it. But consider this. Think about this for a second. I had cable growing up as a kid, right? Back then, there was no such thing as a recommendation algorithm. And I was too young to have intelligent discussions of media, so nothing came to me through recommendation. The shows I ended up watching were whatever was playing when the TV was on. Nobody recommended Ed, Edd n Eddy to me, and that's my favorite show of all time. Same with my favorite game, Team Fortress 2. I bought the orange box to play Portal, but TF2 was just there. Nobody told me to play it. I'm not trying to make a point about recommendation algorithms here. I think they can be a good thing on platforms like YouTube. How did you get here right now? Did you look for this video, or did YouTube show it to you first. I'm also not saying to not recommend me stuff, not at all. Finding something organically is special, especially when it's something new, something people don't seem to be talking about yet. The things I decide to review are almost always things that people are really quiet about. Things like old shows or modern shows where the dust has already settled. Never have I gotten in on the ground floor, though. There is something special about that. If I watch something that was recommended to me, it's like trodden ground. People have been there before. I can see their footprints. I can see the things they left behind and the things they took with them. Discovering something new naturally feels like you're entering unexplored territory. I much prefer that than getting involved in something that everyone has already had time to discuss and form their opinions on. It's hard to join in on discussions that have already concluded long before you arrive. I hope that doesn't come off as some kind of hipster take. If I become a hipster, please have me institutionalized. I'm not avoiding the popular thing because it's popular. I end up avoiding it despite that. The popular thing is supposed to be enjoyable, but like I said earlier, that colors my expectations. I'm supposed to enjoy it. Someone recommended it to me because they believe I will like it, but most of the time I can get more enjoyment out of something when I go in with low expectations, or even complete ignorance. Maybe I can be the recommendation guy. I'll end up watching the new anime and I'll get to discuss them when they're fresh. There's always new anime coming out from what I've heard. You can't say the same for Western animation. Between remakes, the move towards streaming services, and the permanent damage done to the production cycle by COVID, I just can't get excited for Western animation anymore. With some exceptions, of course. Sometimes something comes along and gets my attention. Looking at you, smiling friends. As much as I appreciate recommendations and how cool it is that people want my opinion on certain shows, please don't be offended if I totally ignore it though. I'll only end up watching what I want to watch, and I'll especially only end up making videos if I really want to talk about it. Back when I made reviews primarily, I'd watch a show someone recommended to me, and I'd have absolutely nothing to say other than I liked it or I didn't like it. I think even shooting to just make a review isn't shooting high enough. If I don't have anything more to say than just how much I enjoyed it, it's not even worth talking about, I think. The point I'm trying to make is that when I make videos like this in the future, and believe me, I will, these videos are fun as hell to make, I'm gonna find something I'm passionate about. Maybe it's something really good that I want to try to find out what makes it so good. Maybe it's just a mediocre show that has one really interesting element, who knows. I need a break from Steven Universe every so often. I watch other things, why shouldn't I? So hopefully I'll be able to make these videos every once in a while. Those extra videos aren't going to interrupt the normal Gemology schedule, but if you want to see new ones a week before they release on YouTube, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just a couple bucks. The link is in the description, as always. Shoutouts to my Journeyman patrons, Henri Wickers, Bananas Are Violet, Boomblorp, Gage M, Scala LD, The Tamara, and Exasperation. Also shoutouts to these apprentice patrons. Usually in Gemology videos, I say what's up next, but on this side of things, I don't know yet. It'll be an adventure.